who still follow, many of the people who have deceased.
Right, okay, so my question is quite simple really. If we look at the Shia sector as 20% of Muslims, so that's roughly 200 million.
300 million.
300 million, okay, even better. Is it a fact then that between the three of them, these ulama perhaps control the largest group of people on the planet? They have direct authority over
When Americans had actually done a survey to find out who are the most influential people or who are the most powerful people, I think Al-Sisani was one of the top 10. I think he would probably still have more than 60% of the world's Shia population following him. Today, the living population, more than 60% of the people still follow him. Al-Sisani from Lebanon. So he has a huge following. So, and even the ones who don't follow him, you know, for example, people in Iran, or people in other countries who don't follow him, they still respect him greatly, and if he gave a fatwa or something like that, everyone would follow him in that. Okay. In fact, even the Sunnis of Iraq say that if he gives a fatwa, we follow him. So he's one of the most influential people according to the Americans. Top 10 most influential people in the world.
Thank you.
And questions on Taqleed. Be very open, don't be shy that okay, this is gonna sound illogical, or it's gonna be simple, or it's gonna be you know, against or Maulana may not like it. No, I like those sort of questions that I may not like. Don't be too offensive, please. No, I'm not saying it to you. I'm just saying it generally. Go on.
How do you decide which marja to follow?
To follow. Good question. Okay, there are, all the Mujtahideen have said there are 9 conditions they mentioned. You know, I'm used to reading books in Arabic and Farsi, so I usually do them in Farsi or in Arabic, and then I translate them. So I'm going to do them and I'll translate them. Mard, you know, you should be a man. Aqil, sane, baligh, adult. Shi'at Nashri, legitimate of birth. I'm doing them and then translating them at the same time. Should be adil, just, meaning he should not say, oh, I'm the only one, you know, I'm the odd one out. If I give this fatwa, I'll be the one. No, he has to give the ruling that he thinks is genuine and true. He cannot just say that because everyone else has some other ruling, I'll just follow everyone. He can't. He has to give what he thinks is the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has to be just. He has to be living at the time when you start the following. He has to be the most learned. Okay? These are the 8 conditions that the fuqaha say that should be found in a marja. So the most learned is the most difficult one. All the others are quite simple and should not be worldly.
So you had the last one, you said it's the most difficult. How would you like...
if 2 learned people, Ayatollah Sistani says even if 1 learned person, that satisfies you. If 2 learned people or even 1 tells you that so-and-so is most learned, you can follow it.
Would that person have a choice who to follow? Like if he goes to like 10 islands and they say, okay, Ayatollah Sistani, then another 2 say Ayatollah Khamenei.
No, then if there was contradiction, then if 2 said for one and another 2 said for another, then there is contradiction. So you'll have to find out, you will refer to someone who is more learned, who will be a judge between them. Okay? Until majority said for one person, and then you can just follow those majority. If you didn't know and you thought both of them were equal, then you will have to follow 2. And take the most difficult of the 2. That is quite difficult. Yes, other questions?
I'm just thinking, I think sometimes people have this doubts about mujtahids, especially those Muslims who live in the West, in that, you know, when they come across something in their daily lives and they don't know what the ruling is, they go to the mujtahid and then they don't like his ruling, mainly because they think that
it's difficult to follow.
He's not experienced it in the West. You know, he doesn't know how it is. You just explain to him the situation and he gives ruling. For example, like swimming in a mixed environment, women and men, or going to the gym in a mixed, you know. So what's your opinion on that? You know?
Did everyone hear the question? They would say, you know, referring to a mujtahid who hasn't experienced what we experience. So we have doubts on someone who hasn't. He doesn't have to drink to say that alcohol is haram. He doesn't have to go into mixed swimming pool to find out that it's haram. He doesn't. A doctor doesn't have to experience the illness that you have to be able to give you the cure. The mujtahideen do not have to experience what you go through. If you tell them the exact, They do not say yo. Please everyone pay attention to these 2 points. There are 2 things. One is ruling, hukm, and the other is mawdu, subject. Hukm and mawdu. Everyone paying attention? If you're lost, then stop me straight away. Ruling and subject. For example, I have this glass and I have this drink in front of me. I don't know what's inside it. It's only an example. I know it's water. I don't know what's inside it. I think it's alcohol. I know the ruling on alcohol. Alcohol is haram. But I don't know if this is alcohol or not. I don't know the subject. So this is the subject and the ruling is if it is haram or wajib or makruh or musab. So that is the ruling and the subject is this thing in front of me. So 2 things. Okay? Sometimes you know the ruling but you don't know the subject. You know that alcohol is haram but you don't know if this is alcohol. Everyone following me so far?
Yes.
Sometimes you know the subject but you don't know the ruling. You know this is alcohol but you don't know if alcohol is haram or not. Sometimes you don't know the ruling and the subject. You don't know if this is alcohol or not, and you don't know if alcohol is haram or not. In all of these 3 cases you're forgiven. But the 4th case, you know the ruling and you know the subject. You know this is alcohol and you know alcohol is haram. If you now drink it, this is haram. Did you all get that? There is a 5th possibility, not a possibility, not a scenario. You know, you think this is alcohol, and you know that alcohol is haram. You say, let me drink this, and I'm going to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. God forbid. You drink it and you find out, it's not alcohol. What happens then? Does Allah punish you or does He not? Allah has a right to punish you because you tried your best to disobey. And you didn't. Did you all get that? Now, 4 scenarios. What do the mujtahideen tell you? Do they tell you the subject or the ruling? Anyone? They tell you the ruling, they don't tell you the subject. They don't say, Mr. X, your prayer is void. He never comes and tells you that. He says, I did this, what do you think my prayer? He says, if you did this, then your prayer is void. So they tell you the ruling. They don't come and tell you specifically that your prayer is void. They say, if you did this, then your prayer is void. You say, well, I did it. Well, he's not telling you. If you did it, you decide yourself if you are the subject of that fatwa. Did everyone follow me?
Yes.
So they don't say that I have not come to the West, so I don't know, you decide. No, they said, okay, look, you tell me the whole situation because you don't know the Quran and Hadith. And if you tell me the situation, then I'll tell you according to Quran and Hadith what the ruling is. So they give you the ruling if you're not even there. The doctor doesn't have to go to India to see the patient. He says, if these are these are the symptoms, then that person has this illness. An expert will say, yes, I can tell that these are the symptoms he has, then he has that illness. Did you follow me? So he doesn't have to come to London to witness the gym or the swimming pool. He just needs to know the situation perfectly. Here, let me tell you another thing. 2 people go to one mujtahid, explain the situation 2 different ways. The mujtahid will give it, 2 different rulings. How? One person says, is it, we're both buying, I'm going to give you a real example. Let's say, who shall I take an example? A person who's come with me. He has the same name as me as well. Him and myself, I and him, or yes?
Us both.
He and I are both buying meat from the same shop. He writes to Adil Sisani, for example. I'm not Adil Sisani Muqallid, I respect him very much. The brother refers to Adil Sisani and says, Agha, can I buy meat from this shop? He says, what shop? I don't know. So he says, the person selling the meat is a Qadiani. He said, well, where is the meat stored? He says, can I buy halal meat from the Qadiani? So Raza Rizvi says, yes, you can buy halal meat from a Qadiani. Everyone following me? He says, you can buy halal meat from a Qadiani. I go to him, I said, Agha, can you buy meat slaughtered by a Qadiani? He says, no, you can't. Did you all get me?
Yes.
One person was already assuming that the meat is halal, some Muslim has slaughtered it and has supplied it to the Qadiani. So he asked Adil Sisani, can I buy halal meat? Meaning the meat is already halal, supplied to the Qadiani. So Adil Sisani said, yes, it's halal. And they were thinking, there is contradiction now.